few things. Respectfully, that's bat crazy, everything you just said. Respectfully.
Immigration is a big issue from us because the system is really not working for anybody.
Thanks to, like I said, people like you, thanks to all this independent media, we could get the truth. And through corporate media, they've been lying to us for years, and we finally could see what's really going on. They can't hide it because you're going straight to the people.
You know, you guys, it's not even like watching news. It's just watching truth, you know. It's just watching, like, not just speaking truth to power, but speaking truth to people.
Bernie Sanders won Nevada. As I said, there's no way around it. He absolutely won.
Here to go back to
Saudi Arabia. And I've been here my family well before the Civil War. I had two brothers fighting Iraq. And they told me that they don't have a problem with my religion because that's what they fought for, was the freedom of America.
Just that, just holding up, taking it one day at a time. Just one day at a time. As you can see, we just got through the holiday, so it's definitely, her presence was definitely missed. So, yeah.
And even here in Cleveland, there were people who, even some of these progressives were saying they weren't going to go to the Browns games because some of the players said they would kneel.
Tell me, what do you think? Do you think that's right? No. So what are you going to do?
The man turned and saw me there recording his racism that he was displaying right out in the open, and he lunged at me in attack.
No, I'm talking to this guy here.
Okay.
My knees were skinned, my elbows, my arm. The phone itself was completely, absolutely destroyed.
Just stopping us,
BLMs come in here and try to rip the flag and stuff. They threw paint on it.
The ideology of Antifa just attacked us. Yeah. The ideology, the fake Antifa that Joe Biden says.
There's also a personal aspect for me. My mother worked here for 24 years. She was the residency coordinator of the neurology department, and this used to be a fantastic place.
The government's giving more help to the Fortune 500 companies than the corner grocery store.
Because we have a shortage of hospitals, or hospitals are closing all over the country, in rural areas and also in our urban areas, and it is immoral in every single way.
Talking about shutting down a major hospital and converting that property into hotels or condos or some other real estate opportunity.
If we had Medicare for all, it wouldn't be happening, period. That's just the end of the story.
You're factually wrong. The state legislature is Republican. What I don't understand is you keep saying they're going to have to recount it because there's fraud, but you can't actually explain where the fraud is, what the fraud is.
Yeah, exactly. I can't, but there's a lot of fraud going on.
I'll do it.
No, we give a about you, Duke says. It has nothing to do with me. I give a about you. They don't give a about you.
Why to you is it such an infringement on freedom to wear a mask? That's what I'm asking.
It's annoying as hell, that's right.
Is it more annoying than death? But they have tried to ban transgenders from the military, other restrictions, employment discrimination against transgenders.
Well, that has stopped now since the Supreme Court ruling.
Right, but President Trump is the one who instituted it.
Right, but he was opposed to people joining the military for the sole purpose of being funded for sex change therapy.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Was following me outside. Was following me outside. I have credentials. I could show it to you. Is this how you treat the press? Do you see what's going on here? And then somebody came up to my cameraman without saying a word and just ripped his press thing off.
Look, man, I'm not happy at all. $600 million is not enough, because how do you put a price tag on my kids' brains, their organs, my heart, like all of the stuff that's happened because of this, the layered trauma, the deaths. There's literally no way to put a dollar sign on it.
Can you answer people 6 years later, is the water back to normal here?
Absolutely not.
The DNC just reached out to all the other candidates, and they pretty much just conspired to support Joe Biden. And I mean, just intervening with the democratic process.
The brotherhood is great, but we have something we're fighting for. That's why I joined the Proud Boys. So the brotherhood is great, but I joined it because I wanted to beat up some commies, man.
So we started to shut down city councils every single Wednesday for about close to 3 years on issues concerning houseless.
Black Lives Matter wants to eliminate police because actually the founders, if you read their page, they claim to be 3 lesbian separatists who hate black men. If you remove the police, they hate the nuclear family and they don't like heterosexuality.
Depressed. There's no other way to feel. There's no other way to feel except depressed, except angry, except upset, except not surprised, unfortunately.
The live stream earlier, it was completely peaceful. People were blowing bubbles, people were squeaking rubber ducks. Absolutely peaceful. So you're the head of Proud Boys, you're from Florida. Chairman, okay. So what do you think about this event? What was your goal here?
Our number one goal was really to get, and we could see it right behind you guys, really to get the police to do their job and to offer them the tools in order to get them to do their job. Now they have the ability to use CS gas, which is really important to us.
It's time that we get resources that we need. It's time that I get a full-time nurse at my school. It's time that I get a full-time counselor and resources in my community.
And the invisible prison of wealth inequality in itself that you talk about all the time. Why would Rachel Maddow ever, get out with a camera and microphone and put herself into that?
Chris Smalls is leading the march. Chris Smalls was an Amazon worker in Staten Island, New York, who was fired for trying to organize for safety.
He got rid of illegal, what's it called? He deported more people than any other president. And Trump,
prior to him, yeah.
So Trump is a good old boy. He just loves America, and he's not into identity politics. I'm not,
It's about the lives that are forever changed by these fires.
Poisoning the news that we are fed with those tainted sources. All we ever ate was a steady diet of status quo. This hijacked narrative is the truth of mass suffering, injustice and corruption throughout our land. Status quo, status quo, status quo. To oligarchy came a band of honest journalists. They left the studio and hit the streets to give the microphone back to the people. From sea to sea, the people were empowered to share their truth. Their voices no longer stifled, reclaimed their power. Join the media revolution now.
Hey there, Jordan, live with Status Coup. What's today? Thursday, October 7th, 2021. Hope everybody's having a wonderful day in these trying times. Looking forward to today. We try to stay kind of, out of the DC horse race back and forth. Obviously, the negotiations that have been going on between progressives and Republicans within the Democratic Party, because that's what they are, continue to go on. It's been positive to see Bernie Sanders going on offense and naming names finally. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I wanted to really focus on Kyrsten Sinema. Fortunately, we have at the moment one great guest, hopefully another one joining us in a little bit. But joining us is Brianna Westbrook. Brianna is in Arizona. She was a really big part of Bernie's campaign in Arizona as a surrogate. She's running for office herself as we speak. And you are actually kind of leading the charge to try and find a primary challenger against Kyrsten Sinema. So you got a lot going on as a candidate yourself and trying to find a candidate and obviously probably just living. But folks, remember, smash that like button, share this stream. So I wanted to start, I don't know what kind of historian you are, but I wanted to start, maybe not everybody knows this, but like Kyrsten Sinema supported Ralph Nader like 20 years ago and was a member of the Green Party herself. So obviously, if you're going from a Nader supporter and a Green Party supporter, and her tweets from 10 years ago kind of sound like, you know, a member of the squad now, obviously something happened and something changed. So can you kind of give us, as best as you know, a brief kind of history of who was she 10 to 20 years ago?
Well, thank you for talking about this very important subject and the evolution of Kyrsten Sinema. I did not get a chance to meet Sinema early in her political career here in Arizona, but have many friends that did know her in the beginning of her evolution into this monster that she's turned into, more or less. When she first stepped into Arizona politics, she was a member of the Green Party. She ran for office, fell short, then joined the Democratic Party, led multiple anti-war protests, was outspoken about immigration reform, went into the legislature, ended up winning for, coincidentally, the same area that I'm running for office, the Phoenix area, very liberal district. She was very, smart, spoke with, courage at the state legislature, very outspoken, really spoke with conviction to progressive issues. There's numerous videos out there of her speaking about like Lieberman and just progressive issues. Then she decided to run for Congress in Congressional District 9. And somewhere in that time frame, I want to believe that there was maybe the influence of Janet Napolitano. She wrote a book, Unite and Conquer, which is humorous if you read it now. And after that, as soon as she got in Congress, that's when the evolution began. And we had hoped, because she's never been in the majority, that, if we got her in the Senate and if Democrats did one day have the majority at that time, we thought that, she would adapt to the political climate and be a champion for people issues and human infrastructure and social policies that uplift the people on the bottom that are struggling. And she's done the complete opposite. She fooled us all. More or less, she's a snake oil salesman, which makes me wonder, if what she had spoke to early in her political career was authentic, or if maybe she was acting.
Right. And could you just drill in, because I know who she was, but so Janet Napolitano was Bill Clinton's attorney general. She was she a governor of Arizona? I forget.
Yes.
Yes. So Janet Napolitano was Clinton's attorney general, which, as we know, Bill Clinton legislated like a Republican. She was also from Arizona. But, you hear often, like putting aside Sinema for a second, I keep hearing when it comes to Sinema, when it comes to Manchin, that they have to be this way because states like Arizona are quote unquote moderate. But then I see, just the actual policies that are in the 3.5 trillion reconciliation deal, the policies that Bernie ran on, the policies that progressives run on, pretty popular, even in Arizona. So, I just want to quote from this Politico piece, Colin, if you have it. This was a piece that quoted a bunch of people, I guess, in Arizona. Quote, she's trying to be a moderate because Arizona is a moderate state. And the way you get elected here, or at least the way you have in the past, is not to be challenged in a primary and get your ass to the middle to try and keep enough swing voters in your camp, said David Doak, a retired longtime Democratic strategist. Given the polarization, the leftists are more left now and the rightists are more crazy now. Your calculation needs to be different. Her calculation, I think, is off. So I read that. Again, I'm not from Arizona. You probably know better than I. I think that's a bunch of baloney. I think, yeah, maybe culturally Arizona might be more conservative, but are these policies not popular in Arizona?
They're wildly popular. Joe Biden's plan to build back better is popular in just about every corner of the United States. And not true. Historically, sure. Before the state started changing, before rights activists really started to organize together and build power on the backlash SB 1070, this state's been rapidly changing, rapidly turning more liberal, more democratic, and the issues that she is navigating through is completely wrong. She's playing politics like it's 1995. She's out of step with the needs of Arizonans, out of step on just about every single policy that you can think of, because she's playing with an outdated playbook. And it's unfortunate because she could be a hero in this moment, but she has decided to be a villain, and withhold and obstruct and hold America hostage over this false argument of bipartisanship. And we know that Republicans have no desire to work with Democrats in any capacity. That is only amplified through the years with things like Citizens United, which has allowed exorbitant amounts of money, of corporate money, to fall into to filter into our political system. And it's just making it more and more difficult to pass legislation and work in a bipartisan manner on issues that we should agree on. We should agree on that Americans shouldn't be homeless. We should agree on affordable housing. We should agree on having insulin if you need it to survive. We should agree on having hearing aids and vision included. It's preposterous. It's absolutely ridiculous that we're having to debate, very, very common sense policies that are more than partisan issues. They, hit home with all Americans.
Right. And just for guests that are coming in a little late, because we didn't have our names on the screen, this is Brianna Westbrook. She is a candidate for Arizona State Senate herself, very active in Bernie's campaigns for president in Arizona. And she's also currently, probably along with plenty of other people, trying to find, a primary challenger to challenge Kyrsten Sinema, who's up for re-election in 2024. So candidate herself, which we'll talk about your race in a little bit, as well as trying to challenge Sinema. And that's the other thing. I mean, I know you're not a psychologist. Maybe you are, and I don't know. But I don't know. Like, I don't mean to be judge, but I don't really get I don't get a certain thing that she even is interested in being in office or running for office again. I see, again, I'm not judging, but I see like the tie-dye wigs and the weird Instagram posts. I don't know if this is just somebody that really likes attention. We just had a president that needed it desperately for 4 years, but it just seems like she's not that interested in legislation, politics per se. It seems like she's interested in a lot of other things. She was an intern last summer, I think, like a paid intern at a winery. Cool if you have side interests outside of legislation, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like she's interested in legislation, policy. It does seem like she's interested in raising a whole lot of money from the donors. Colin, if you have, this is just from Open Secrets. She was a congresswoman first and now a senator, but I mean, her donor list is pretty significant. I mean, if you just scroll down on her donor list, you have lawyers and law firms. That's over 2.5 million. Usually that's financial lawyers, that category. Securities and investment, that's Wall Street has given her 2 million. Real estate, 1.4 million. You go down to business services, lobbyists, that's $1 million combined. I mean, miscellaneous finance, pharmaceuticals, $500,000. This is not that long of a career. I think she came in 2014. So do you have a feel for kind of this suggestion that she's just trying to cash out and, go to whatever her next reincarnation will be?
Well, I think we all have to speculate because she doesn't have the courage to speak to people about the issues that matter to her. So she's allowing everybody to paint a picture of who she is as an individual. I am a person that believes there's more good people in this world than bad people. And I hope that she will remember why she got in politics to begin with. And hopefully remember growing up in a gas station, which she shows in every one of her campaign videos and talks about being homeless, why she's in that position that but optically, based on the way that she, acts, the outrageous ring that she wore, drinking margaritas on Instagram, telling constituents and activists and everybody else basically to F off, which was completely inappropriate for a United States senator to do. It feels like that she's just here for the glitz and glamour at this point. Like she just wants to be in a position of power. And I think that we saw that in a glimpse in a video that was posted yesterday by Code Pink. One of their activists confronted her outside of what appeared to be a pretty big house. And she was speaking with somebody and she was joking and having a conversation with this person. Then this activist, this constituent, waited for her to finish, then approached her and called her Congresswoman. And Sinema quickly corrected her and said, Senator, and wouldn't even make eye contact with her. She said it twice in the video. She's reiterating the point of her title. It's appalling the way that she's acting, and it's completely inappropriate in every context. She should be talking to voters. She says that she wants to be an independent voice. Here in Arizona, a lot of people talk about McCain. McCain had courage in the capacity that he would actually sit and engage in a conversation with somebody, regardless of where they fell on the political spectrum. He would still listen and hear them out, and then oftentimes say why he felt a particular way on an issue. Sinema doesn't do that. She just completely disengages in a conversation altogether, which to me makes it sound like that she doesn't authentically have passion or conviction for the issues that she's speaking to, because she can't talk to them, and she can't defend the particular positions she's taking in the moment, because she basically works from lobbyist talking points.
And which I'd like to ask you, because I don't know if you were involved in getting her elected. I've heard from other activists that knocked on, thousands of doors, this and that. It seems like this was not so long ago. We're talking 2018. She was pretty responsive to activists and a completely different persona. And I saw her ads, calling for lower prescription drugs. So this is you have the Mitt Romney 2012s, the whole flip-flops, and just flip-flop all politicians flip-flop. But this is a completely different person. And you're just talking, what is that, 2018? So that's only 3 years. I'm not trying to get psychological, but we know about the big pharma money that has come in recently. We know about the business lobby groups that have come in. But does she have consultants around her that have told her she needs to move away from this progressive point of view to win? Is it just the money you think that's coming in? What is driving someone from just 3 years ago being for most of the policies in this plan? And by the way, I think we need I know you do too. I don't think this plan is sufficient at all for the magnitude of our crises. Honestly, we needed more than $6 trillion just for climate change. So as Bernie said, this was $6 trillion. It got knocked down to $3.5 trillion. Now they're talking maybe they'll meet at $2 trillion. Totally inadequate in my view. But to me, it's just, how does somebody, it seems like it's more than just follow the money. There seems to be something else here for someone to change that drastically in 3 years.
Yeah, it's been really quick. The evolution of Sinema from 2018 to now. I did work to elect Sinema in 2018. Quoted actually in the Huffington Post. I was working with the Working Families Party at that time as a field organizer, saying it's better to have somebody that stands with 50% of our values instead of none of our values. And that was in relation to her opponent in that general election, with his Martha McSally. And my calculation was wrong, because I thought we would at least be getting 50% of our democratic values out of Sinema. And of course, to paint the whole picture here, that was before we sent Mark Kelly to the Senate. So we were trending blue at that point. So I had the understanding that she needed to navigate the complexities of different ideologies on a statewide campaign to win in Arizona. But that time has passed. It's now years later, and the electorate is rapidly changing.
And let me ask you just Arizona specific, because problems are pretty much the same all over the country. But Arizona, we know about immigration, which is a top line issue in Arizona. But as far as I can tell, Arizona has a lot of wealthy people in areas and a lot of poor people. And, like many other places, not so much in between anymore. Can you kind of talk about the problems that have been getting worse there? I'm sure you're running on some of these issues that I'm sure the Republicans are doing jack shit on.
Well, voting rights, for one. Our Arizona state legislature, that is led by Republicans, ended up purging a significant portion of our voters off the rolls. 80% of our eligible voters are on a permanent early voting list. Republicans ended up passing legislation to purge folks off the rolls, which in itself is huge. And we're seeing that across the country. Republican legislatures are doing that. That's probably one of the largest issues. Then, of course, we have things that we've been fighting for a long time in this state, continuously, and having to battle like our state Supreme Court and the legislature for proper and adequate education funding for public education. They've continued to privatize education in the state of Arizona. That's something that's vitally important. Funding education, making sure teachers have the necessary tools to teach our leaders of tomorrow. And third, let's go a little bit further, because there's quite a few. We have unaffordable housing. That's something that continues to make headlines here in Phoenix. We have more and more unhoused people sleeping on our streets. Last year in 2020, and this infuriates me because nobody even spoke about it that's in elected office, that over 500 homeless people just died on city streets last year in the city of Phoenix. And it's there's a lot of things going on, and there's a lot of things inside many of the policies that Democrats are passing through the House that have direct implications to Arizona that will make a difference in people's lives and materially change their lives. And she's chosen to obstruct. She's chosen to hold America hostage in this moment, and it's unfortunate.
I want to play a clip from Bernie Sanders yesterday, Colin, if you have it. Thankfully, maybe he's finally watching Status Coup. He's been going on offense, which we've been telling him to do for a long time. But he held a press conference yesterday. Didn't really hold back on Joe Manchin, but he also, had some words for Senator Sinema too, if you have that, Colin.
What I would say is this, and I know a lot of the media talks about, compromise and all that stuff. We got 48 senators who support $3.5 trillion. We got 2 who do not. It is really not playing fair that 1 or 2 people think that they should be able to stop what 48 members of the Democratic caucus want, what the American people want, what the President of the United States wants. That would be my position.
So you called out Senator Manchin. Would you also like to see specificity from Senator Sinema?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Senator, as I understand it, I'm not privy to everything here. In some cases, you guys know more than I do. But I don't think that's, I think Senator Sinema's position has been that she doesn't, quote unquote, negotiate publicly. And I don't know what that means. We don't know where she's coming from. What I have heard, and I don't know if this is accurate, this is a problem. I have heard that she is opposed to having Medicare negotiate prescription drug prices with the pharmaceutical industry and lowering prescription drug prices. I have heard that she is opposed to asking the wealthy and large corporations to pay their fair share of taxes. That is what I have heard. Maybe I'm wrong. But I think to answer your question, yeah, I would love to see her in the same sense as Senator Manchin. Tell us what you want and don't want. Thanks very much.
So what did you take from that? Because it is pretty bizarre to just basically try to run out the clock, not say what you want, not say what you're for. To me, my read of it is she's not saying it because it's really not defensible. So she's just kind of trying to run out the clock and make it normalized and just allow it to be normalized that she won't talk. What do you get from what Bernie Sanders said?
I think he hit the nail on the head. And the thing is that Arizona knows. Sinema generally doesn't take clear positions on anything where she has to put a stake on the ground on one side or the other. She'll take open positions on things that are non-controversial, things that everybody can agree on, but she won't even get involved in things that may be partisan. Like she cares about veterans. Who doesn't care about veterans, honestly? That's a bipartisan, like making sure the veterans are taken care of, the VA is funded. She doesn't stake her, I don't know what the word I'm looking here for is, but she doesn't choose a side in that capacity. And Bernie said that she doesn't want to raise taxes. That in itself, it goes against what Arizonans believe, because just last November, we passed a ballot initiative to tax our state's highest earners to fund public education. And that passed by a larger margin of victory than Sinema in 2018.
It's really unbelievable. And in terms of potential primary challengers, I mean, we're talking 2024, so it's not next year. I know somebody we were going to talk to today kind of hinted at maybe challenging Kyrsten Sinema, somebody that led the Women's March in Phoenix, in Arizona recently. Has there been, I mean, I'm sure there's rumors and stuff, but has there been any headway in trying to organize a primary challenger again against her? I mean, even 2.5 years earlier?
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are angry in this moment, and she has inspired them to want to run for higher office. I'll let them say their names on their own timeframes if they want to announce publicly that they'll be running for Senate. But there is people in the state legislature that are elected officials. There are activists. There are organizers. There are more than a couple of folks that have considered running for Senate in 2024. And what's great is if someone did want to announce early, years ahead of 2024, that they were running for Senate, they could really have a really good opportunity to connect with voters early, talk about what they stand for, and build a war chest of small dollar donations to help combat the big money that Sinema is going to have. So there is a lot of people that are thinking about it.
So let me ask you broader than Sinema. Obviously, you've been paying attention. There's been a little, battle royale in the progressive movement, I'd say, since Biden came in. You have people who I guess are just fed up and don't think even the things, the squad are doing are enough. Think they've, I've said in many cases, they folded the tent pretty quickly. In this case, I'm happy to see they've been holding the line. So there's a lot of people that have kind of just said, screw it with electoral politics. I'm done. We're just going to do direct action and things like that. And then there's others have said, the two aren't mutually exclusive. You could focus on more things at once and, let's not cancel every politician who doesn't do what we want 1,000% of the time. Obviously, you're running at the state legislature level, but what have you thought about that? Because it seems to me, I don't know. I think it's a good thing. I criticize them when they should be criticized, but I think it's a good thing that finally you've seen the progressives, the squad, Pramila Jayapal, Ro Khanna, actually coordinated. They didn't blink when it came to voting for the bipartisan infrastructure deal, which is essentially just privatization on steroids. The media doesn't talk about that, but that $500 billion deal, because it's really only $500 billion in new money, is privatization. What do you think? Because I see some progress here, but a lot of people say, it's just theater. It's all for show.
There's definitely progress. And if you just look at this whole moment that we're in and how we got here and like what we've accomplished in just 10 years, over 22 million people between 2016 and 2020 voted for an open democratic socialist candidate for president in the United States of America. That in itself is huge. Every single pillar of Bernie Sanders' platform is pretty much a litmus test for anyone who runs for local, state, or federal office. That's one of the first questions people have is like, where do you stand on healthcare? Do you support universal healthcare and Medicare for all? Bernie's platform is a litmus test. We've continued to grow a progressive caucus. We're learning to collectively organize together and not bend and use the powers that be. And the powers that be are organizing together in both direct action and in the political space, because it's important that we get involved and we push people in both areas. Solidarity gets the goods, and both are equally important. Voting is one passive way to create change, but it is necessary to create agitation and organize and do direct action as well, because that moves dialogue forward. That moves society forward. So they work hand in hand. So I'm very hopeful of where we're going to go and what we're going to accomplish in the next 5 to 6 years.
And lastly, you're running for office yourself. Can you give people kind of the details of what you're running for? When is the election? And, what are the main issues you're running on there?
I'm running for Arizona State Representative for the downtown Phoenix area. Right now it's Legislative District 24. It's right in the heart of Phoenix. There are 2 Democratic incumbents. One has taken more of a Sinema approach to governing and has not had very many good relationships with local community organizations. And through my conversations with community leaders and community organizers, I made the decision to run for state rep. Because I know that once we get in there, I could help push policies forward that will impact people's lives at a lot quicker pace than Congress. And it's important to use the state legislature as an organizing space. And that's something I don't think state legislators have done historically in the past. We've seen like how powerful it is when a member of Congress leads actions like Cori Bush did just a few weeks ago, extending the eviction moratorium. I'd like to do things similar to that at the state legislature. Whether or not we're in the minority or the majority party, we still should be talking unapologetically to issues, especially in liberal districts like the one that I am running in. They move things forward. Issues that I am running on are, restoration of the right to vote for all presently and formerly incarcerated people, supporting publicly funded elections, expanding polling locations, expanding mail-in voting, automatic voter registration, working to repeal our state's right to work law if we don't get the PRO Act passed, which would be tragic in itself, instating 12 weeks paid maternity leave for all workers, raising the state minimum wage to $15 an hour. We're just a few bucks short of that now at $12.15 an hour. Increasing the housing trust fund and making it explicitly available to undocumented folks, and ensuring that we fund public education and make sure that teachers have the resources necessary to teach our leaders of tomorrow. Reduce class sizes, support funding to repair the crumbling infrastructure in Arizona public schools. This means like buses, technology, common sense things is what I'm running on, and I'm very excited to campaign again because it's been some time. I ran for office in 2018 as a Justice Democrat endorsed candidate for Congress. We ran a very strong, bold campaign then. that was able to achieve 40% of the vote against 10-to-1 spending. My primary opponent spent $200,000 to beat me in a primary. My primary this time around, if we win it, we will coast into the general election, and we'll win. And I'll be in the legislature because there's no way a Republican's going to win this district. So this is one that we can win for the left and really move our issues forward. And I'm excited. The primary day is August 2nd. And you can follow the campaign at westbrookforarizona.com.
Westbrookforarizona.com. Thank you so much, Brianna. We'll stay in touch, and good luck on your race.
Thank you.
So that was Brianna Westbrook. We're doing this kind of impromptu because that's how we roll. But now joining us is Eva Burch. And we were going to have you on with Brianna, but, we messed up the time. So thank you for joining us. And you, I believe you led the Women's March in Arizona. Is that correct?
Thank you so much for having me. And yes, I'm one of the organizers and have been since 2017 for the Women's March in the Phoenix area.
So when are we marching on Sinema is the opening question. So as Brianna just gave some background on Sinema, I was basically saying, I've been following the money as far as a reporter for many years. This is more than just like a flip-flop like most politicians. This is a complete metamorphosis in just 3 years.
Sure.
Yeah, you could say it's the money, but to be honest, she's obviously a unique person, I'll put it at, with her wigs and paid wine internships and other things. As somebody who I'm sure was active in getting her elected, like what's really going on here? What do you attribute to essentially her trying to, her metamorphosis from a Nader supporting Green Partier to like trying to be the next John McCain?
Sure. I think it's a number of things, but I think that what has been happening recently is that because of the drop in popularity among the more progressive leaning Democrats, Sinema's in a little bit of a predicament. And while I do think a lot of it is money, is for donors, of course, and having to satisfy that, I think she's also put herself in a situation where she knows now that she is not going to be able to win a general election with the Democratic vote. And I think that she's leaning hard into that independent vote and the conservative Democrats and the, more centrist Republicans. I think that she is going to have to rely on that. The problem therein lies that she still has to win a primary in Arizona. And if she has a strong primary opponent, she does have, there's risk to her there. But even if you just look at her social media, you can look on her Facebook page over the last, several weeks, and she's choosing these really safe positions where she's not talking. She talks about the infrastructure bill over and over and over again, but you're not going to see any commentary about anything else, about the other half of what we're trying to get through right now. She's not talking about it. So she's playing it very safe. And when she talks about things repeatedly on her social media, you'll see her talk about talking points that are more liberal, talking points that she knows are going to still be safe among the independent Republicans. She talks a lot about the indigenous community because that's something she can push. That's a more of a liberal concern, but that isn't going to upset her right-wing and centrist voters. On the other side of it, she talks a lot about veterans because she knows that that's going to be satisfying to her more Republican and right-leaning supporters. That isn't really going to be a test point for the liberals and for the Democrats. And so she sticks on these really safe talking points, but those will be like a third or a half of what you see on her social media. And I know that those aren't the only three things that she cares about, is infrastructure and the indigenous community and veterans affairs. But she's put herself into a predicament where she has to be very, very safe, or she's going to lose her seat in the primary.
So I don't know. I'm not in Arizona, so correct me if I'm wrong, but you said she knows she's not going to get the Democratic vote in the general, but wouldn't she get the Democratic vote if she actually, pushed these very popular policies? I mean, all these policies are popular, not among only Democrats. A lot of them have support among independents. I think Republicans support some of this too, just like Medicare for all has polled well among Republicans. Maybe I'm just not understanding Arizona politics, but I don't think it's as moderate as the media pushes. Just like I know I've been to West Virginia. That is an economically populous state. The reason the Republicans have won is because the Democrats have not offered a populist alternative. So if she just was who she was when she won, if she just pushed the things she was running on in 2018, why would she have such a problem getting reelected?
So again, and I'm sorry if I misspoke there. I don't mean in a general that her ideas would be popular. I think that she would do well in the general, and she continues to poll as such that she would do well in a general. I think that the problem is that she's going to have is if she wants to primary, at least a third of the Democratic voters are really dissatisfied with Sinema's performance right now, and I think those numbers are actually higher than that. It depends on exactly where polling, but yeah, no, I think that she's going to have a harder time in a primary than she is in a general. She needs to still push through the primary.
And let me ask you, because I guess basically what I was getting at is if she was just the Kyrsten Sinema from 2018 who ran on lowering prescription drug prices and tweeted progressive things, wouldn't she win the primary and also have a chance to win the general because these policies are popular in Arizona, even among independents?
I think she's going to have a much harder time with the primary this time around because she has alienated the really hard-wing progressives who pound the pavement. The people who are going to knock doors and who are going to make calls and who are going to really put in the hard work are the progressive leaning wing of the party. And that's where I think she's really failing. And I think that a lot of the platform that she ran on, she won't speak to anymore. I don't think that she would run on all of those same talking points because I think she has had to lean hard into the independents and onto the more independent leaning Republicans because she's losing that side of the party that had done all the hard work for her in the first place.
I guess what I was asking is if Kyrsten Sinema had remained today how she was in 2018, if she wasn't doing all this, if she wasn't doing all these, blood money from all these donors that's killing the planet, whatever, if she just today was who she was in 2018, she would have won the Democratic primary pretty easily because she wouldn't have pissed off all you progressives and Democrats.
I agree.
And she probably would have been very competitive in the general election because these policies are even have support among independents. So that's what I was asking.
No, I definitely agree with that.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was trying to get at because it just seems like they keep saying she has to be this way. She has to be moderate to win in Arizona. But I'm like, no, the policies are very popular among independents. And frankly, I think even Republicans like these policies, a lot of them. So I think it's just a giant miscalculation. Who the hell knows who the consultants are feeding her this nonsense? Because if she would just say, yeah, we need A, B, C, D in this reconciliation deal. And hey, I mean, we got no problem spending, $8 trillion on the defense budget over the next decade. I think she would win in the primary, clearly, and probably in the general. Let me ask you, because, it's really bizarre to me. Honestly, I don't care if I'm attacked. I don't really care that protesters went into the bathroom with her. Call me a little different. I think it's more inappropriate to deprive people of health care. I think it's more inappropriate to deprive people of basic needs, social welfare, than going in the bathroom. Nobody went in the stool with her. But I wanted to ask you, what is this deal with her just not responding to anybody? Because it just seems to me that she thinks she could just run out the clock and eventually reporters will tire of asking her questions. They'll just know she's not going to answer. Activists will stop. Why doesn't she just say, yeah, I don't believe in this for XYZ reason, and that's it?
So to both of those comments, I'll make a point. One, I don't want people chasing me into the bathroom. I mean, sure. But I absolutely agree that we're talking about people who are really suffering, people who are really suffering, who really need a representative in Congress, who really need a senator who is ready to fight for these things. And that's the audience that Sinema won't hold. You know, she's very happy to hold audience with her donors, and she's very happy to hold audience with a number of other more powerful groups. But the everyday working people in Arizona who are hurting and who we would expect her to be protecting can't get an audience with her, and at a certain point they what else are they supposed to do? When's a good time? Since she won't make time for them, and since they approach her in an airplane or you know, at a restaurant or in a hallway, she won't speak to them. There's not a good time. So if somebody would like to explain to everybody when is a good time, I would be happy to listen to that answer. But with Sinema, there doesn't seem to be a good time, and so I have a hard time faulting people who are really hurting from doing whatever it is that they can do to call attention to these issues that are affecting them very deeply and sincerely.
Go ahead.
I also
go ahead. Sorry.
I also think there's some vanity going on. There's something happening with the senator where I think that she does like being the holdout. I think that she doesn't want to have to make these I don't think she wants to make these public statements, whether or not they're largely popular. I think that it's important to her to remain anonymous on those things, which is why I made the point about what she's willing to talk about on her social media. You know, we know we're not going to get her in a room talking about it, and she picks these fairly neutral talking points to come out with publicly. I think there's a number of things that she doesn't want to talk about, and that I don't think she wants to hear about. Almost like showing somebody who eats meat videos of what's happening in farms. You know, it's like she doesn't want to hear it. She doesn't want, I mean, I think she's really out of touch with what's happening with her voters, and I think it is willful ignorance at this point. I think she wants it to be that way.
And, you know, what's kind of, I guess you could say, strange to me is, I mean, she's a public servant, right? So, sure, I've had, as a reporter, 9 out of 10 times, if you approach a politician, even if they'll answer you, the PR people right away will start to pull them away. I mean, that's just what PR people do. They don't want them to say anything bad, or it's all about, you know, image and let's not get them to be challenged. But at the very least, like, they give a little lip service, you know,
right?
They'll say like, oh, you know, I can't wait to talk. I'd love to talk to you, but I'm in a rush to go somewhere. Please contact my office. Like every scene I see, she just won't even turn to them. It's like a perp walk. And I don't know if it's the donors that have told her to keep your head down.
I think she's given up on that vote. I think that that the larger interest that she is more dedicated to, that she thinks is going to earn her the most votes and get her what she wants, are really not interested in what she would have to say to these people who are willing to do the work but don't really have the money. You know, I think that she has lost interest in that vote. She knows she's lost it. So why would she waste any of her time on that? You know, I think that she knows that she has lost the progressive vote. She doesn't want to identify with it too much because she believes she has to be this centrist maverick, and that's going to be where she can make up the vote that she's lost on the left.
Right. And I was asking Brianna, I'd love to hear from you. I mean, Arizona is very similar to other places. Housing is unaffordable. Healthcare is unaffordable. You have a lot of wealthy people, you know, Sedona, other areas, and then a lot of poor people. You know, what are the things going on in Arizona right now that she has dropped the ball on completely?
I think that really highly prioritized in my mind is our housing crisis. And I think that that's going to continue to get worse. Prices just over the last few years, just over the last, 2, 3 to 5 years, have gone up so steeply. And for first-time home buyers, it's really become impossible. For renters, it's become impossible. There are not affordable options right now, and not just in nicer areas or what would be conventionally considered to be nicer areas, good school districts, things like that. But I think that with our education system in particular, where we really don't have equitable access to education for everyone in Arizona, and that's gotten particularly bad. And same thing with compensation for our teachers. I think we have a healthcare crisis. I think we have a education crisis, and I think we have a housing crisis. And that those three things are so much more important that people are willing to talk about more openly and affect more people. I think it's important to talk about Veterans Affairs. I think it's important to talk about security measures and things like that. Those things are important. But if we're really going to talk about what's affecting people the most right now, that's really hurting our communities, it's the housing crisis, it's education, and healthcare.
And finally, I don't want to blow up your spot, but I've heard there's people interested in running against her. I know it's 3 years, 2.5 years from now. Who the hell knows if she's even going to run again? Because she seems like she'd rather, own a winery or something. But you have any interest in running against her? What do you think before that is? How do people stay active? Civilly, not violently, against her. What are the next steps? Because it seems to me it's not just this deal, but other things that she's basically going to sleepwalk through.
I would like very much to throw my support behind somebody who adequately represents the communities who are being hurt most by Sinema. It is not going to be a very long amount of time while I wait to find that individual before I absolutely run against her myself. I think it's really important that we have somebody who's genuinely progressive, somebody who's genuinely ready and willing to listen to the people who are most negatively impacted by the policies that were put in by the Trump administration, and those that continue to linger on, and those that we're not able to dig ourselves out of at this point in time, who has zero interest in any interests. I think that's somebody that we need, and I would certainly be willing to consider that myself, and I will certainly be ready to throw my support behind another should that be the appropriate thing to do. But I think that the time is running slim, and we need somebody soon so that we can start doing the very real and difficult work that needs to be done to Sinema in a primary, and I believe it can be done.
Awesome. Thank you, Eva Burch. You led the Women's March there, has been doing great activism there for many years, and let's stay in touch.
I appreciate you so much, and thank you as well. And yes, we'll talk again.
Awesome. Thanks. So that was Eva Burch. She, was one of the organizers of the Women's March there. Do not go anywhere because we got quite a few other things to do today. Smash that like button. Super chats are welcome. I'll read them at the end. Also, as a reminder, we're doing a fall member drive. So you could get free Status Coup merchandise by becoming a member today. So statuscoup.com/fall, FALL. And if you sign up before October 31st, you will get a free Status Coup poster or T-shirt or sweatshirt. A lot of good merchandise there. We need you to support our on-the-ground reporting. I'm going to be away for a week, but when I get back, currently planning a in-the-field reporting trip. I'm hoping it's going to be to Buffalo to cover India Walton, who is the mayor's candidate there. She's a socialist. The race is on November 2nd. I wanted to go to Buffalo also to cover Starbucks workers are trying to form a union there. And Starbucks has sent executives to do some of the most aggressive union busting there is against these workers trying to unionize. There's also now a hospital workers strike in Buffalo. So Buffalo's got a lot going on. This mayor's race, which India Walton would be literally a socialist winning, which would be really, really amazing. You have obviously the Starbucks union drive, as well as the workers strike at Mercy Hospital is the hospital. We need you. These trips cost money. I would fly Colin up from Texas to come with me. So there's a lot of expenses. We would drive there, hotels, rent a car. You know the drill. Sign up, statuscoup.com/fall, statuscoup.com/fall. Before we get to the next topic, I want to show you, we're doing this new feature. Colin and I have been talking, and I said to him, we have something really no other outlet has, really. We have like the biggest archive of on-the-ground reporting there is in independent media frankly, I'd say our on the ground reporting is probably more than even CNN and MSNBC. So why don't we use it? Even stuff that happened 3 years ago, 2 years ago, to really keep the message out there that Status Coup is on the ground. We are not just in a studio bloviating, but we are out there covering important news on the ground. It costs money. So why not connect, news stories that are happening today to stuff we've already done? So Colin started coming up with, really, I think, great little short videos showing that. So I wanted to show you one of them. If you don't know, there was a major oil spill in California on October 1st, followed by a major spill in Texas on October 6th. So within 5 days, major oil spills. In California, you're talking hundreds of thousands of gallons were released into the Pacific Ocean. No problem there, right? Just animals, water, drinking water, habitat. And in the Texas spill from Marathon Petroleum, you have a lot of road closures, things like that, and presumably spilled into the environment and nature and all that. So definitely excited for this. Let us know what you think. Colin, let's play this clip that you put together.
And they used eminent domain to be able to claim that. They used the Natural Gas Act from 1938. You're saying pipelines the process for that hasn't been updated in 30 years. We're using an act from 1938 for Roanoke. Roanoke Gas has a 0.5% interest in this. And so that's how they were able to say, oh, now it's a utility. Now we can use eminent domain. We're going to condemn your property and take it.
Look at this destruction. You're not going to see this anywhere. You think CNN's coming up here? Please. Yeah, if you could prove Putin cut down the trees, they'll be here in a jiffy. This is what we need. We need more attention on, it's not just the destruction of the planet or the country, but it's the destruction of basic humanity.
The companies then go to the landowners to try to negotiate voluntary eminent domain, pay them for the privilege of destroying their land. If the people don't agree to whatever proposal the pipeline company makes, then they sue them in federal court. That's what happened to the Terrys.
Talk about the threat beyond you to people fighting these pipelines, this pollution, and this greed and evil.
What's happening to me is a new fossil fuel industry playbook designed to consolidate the power of this planet-destroying industry over anyone who wants to hold it accountable. Lawyers, advocates, defenders, activists.
The police put yellow tape like it's almost like a crime scene.
It was an active crime scene when she was in there.
Really?
Oh yeah. She's being charged with 3 misdemeanors. I think obstruction of or contempt of court, like trespassing on property rights on her own property somehow.
Kind of backwards, where you're trespassing on property that's been in your family for generations. So that was just one video. Colin has done another one that we're going to post. And I love it. I love it because I'm really thinking to myself, you know what? Why aren't we continually highlighting who we are? Why aren't we continually pushing out the reporting we've done? It doesn't have to be stuff today. It could be stuff from 2018, 2019, 2020, this year. Because I don't know, look in the news. There's plenty of topics where we've been out there covering those kind of stories. So we're going to be doing a lot more of those kind of videos. I hope you love to hear your feedback on those kind of videos because we're going to be doing a lot more. And I'm hoping, if you're not a Status Coup member, I'm just being direct. We need you. It's been rough going recently. Obviously, you've seen on YouTube, our numbers are down. I think in large part because our channel is being hidden by YouTube. But our numbers, unfortunately, are down across the board, including membership. So we're just not going to fall into like the clickbait bullshit that everyone else is doing. It would make us a lot more money probably to do that, but we're going to continue covering the important stories, even if they're not as sexy or they aren't as clicky, because that's who we are and that's our purpose. And if we wanted to take the easy way out that a lot of other channels are taking with kind of, flashy headlines about this person fighting this person, we would not be Status Coup anymore. So definitely, if you can, sign up, statuscoup.com/fall, statuscoup.com/fall, so that we could get more members. And for this whole month, if you sign up as a new member through statuscoup.com/fall, you'll be able to get free Status Coup merchandise. So we love anything that's free. So we're throwing that in with your membership. Carne Verde, example, I got no notification from YouTube, only got notified by email. Well, join our text list. You could also join our text message list, which we send out text messages when we're live, so that even if you don't get a notification from YouTube, you'll get a text message when we're live. That also costs us money. So we have to spend a shit ton of money just to text message you, which I don't want to get into it, but the more people that sign up to the text message list, the more expensive it is. So definitely sign up for our text message list so you'll get a text when we go live. So that's another helpful way. But I wanted to turn to Bernie's press conference yesterday because, I've been critical of Bernie. I was critical of him during both of his campaigns for, in my view, being weak and being naive and never being willing to go for the jugular against Hillary Clinton, against Joe Biden this go around. Critical of him not tweaking his message when he had to. So I've been pretty critical. I mean, I'm not, ranting that he's a fraud and a sellout like others, because I don't think he is. But I've been critical. But I'm starting to like what I see. I'm starting to like what I see from Bernie, who, along with progressives in the House, have finally held the line, coordinated together, leveraged their votes together, at least for now. They did it last week where they would not vote for the bipartisan infrastructure deal, and they are continuing to hold firm. I'm not naive. We're not going to get a $3.5 trillion reconciliation deal because we have, frankly, two political terrorists in Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, and we have a Republican as a president who's not going to fight for that number. Biden, the media is not covering Biden. They're only covering Sinema and Manchin. Biden, remember that we were fed the propaganda from the corporate media that Biden is the pragmatic choice, that Biden is the person who could work across the aisle with Republicans to get things done, work within his own party to get things done. Biden has been in fetal position. He cannot get anything done. It was a lie that they fed over and over to try and give, frankly, older voters who tend to vote for more establishment Democrat candidates more concern about Bernie and push them more to Joe Biden, who was the pragmatic choice. Joe Biden is in fetal position. Joe Biden can be using the power of the presidency, being the most powerful person on planet Earth, to shame Joe Manchin, to shame Kyrsten Sinema, to twist their elbows, to twist their legs. I don't think Lyndon B. Johnson was such a great guy, but at least he knows how to throw an elbow politically. Okay? So finally, Bernie Sanders is being a little less diplomatic. You'll love to see it. So Colin, let's play his press conference. We'll probably pause a few times to react to it. But this is Bernie's press conference from yesterday.
Okay, thanks very much on a busy day for being here. I just want to say a few words about some of what's going on. And as chairman of the Senate Budget Committee, I want to say a few words about the $3.5 trillion reconciliation bill that a number of us are fighting for. And I'd also like to make some brief comments about what Senator Manchin said earlier today. First, let us be clear. Poll after poll, including polls in West Virginia, show that what we are trying to do in this reconciliation bill is enormously popular among the American people. But it's not just the American people who support what we're trying to do. 48 out of 50 members of the Senate Democratic Caucus support the bill, and 210 members, about 96% of the House Democratic Caucus, support the bill. And By the way, the President of the United States supports the bill. And while we're at it, let me tell you who is vigorously opposed to this legislation, and I think it's important that the American people understand that, because this is the corruption of American politics. The pharmaceutical industry is currently spending hundreds of millions of dollars on lobbying, on campaign contributions, on advertising to oppose this bill, because they do not want to have us lower the outrageously high cost of prescription drugs in America. The health insurance industry is spending a huge amount of money because they do not want us to expand Medicare to cover dental, hearing aids, and eyeglasses. The fossil fuel industry, the coal companies and the oil companies, are spending millions of dollars despite the fact that the scientists are virtually unanimous in telling us that we must end our dependence on fossil fuel and move to energy efficiency and sustainable energy if we are going to save this planet. And it goes without saying that the billionaire class and the large corporations are spending a fortune in opposition to this bill because they love the idea that some of the wealthiest people in this country and the largest corporations in a given year do not pay a nickel in federal income tax. And they're fighting to preserve that absurdity. In other words, we are taking on some of the most powerful special interests in this country who will end up spending huge amounts of money in order to prevent
you could,
us.
Stop for a second. Love how Bernie's phone rang. So he hasn't gotten to Manchin yet. He's about to get to Manchin. But do you notice something? Why the fuck isn't Joe Biden doing this? Remember, the media fed us middle class Joe, lunch bucket Joe, Joe's with the working class Joe. Why isn't he holding press conferences, calling for his own plan? You know, Bernie and the others have to be PC and say this is Biden's agenda. It's not Biden's agenda. It's Bernie's agenda. Biden just signed on to it. Biden doesn't care about most of these policies. Biden just wants to make a deal because that's who he is. And he wants it to be bipartisan because he still has this bizarre, weird fetish for the good old days of the 80s where Democrats and Republicans worked together to screw you. Not just the 80s, the 90s, because we know NAFTA was bipartisan, repealing Glass-Steagall was bipartisan, crime bill was bipartisan, the Patriot Act was bipartisan, welfare reform was bipartisan. I could go on and on and on. Iraq war, bipartisan. So why is it Bernie Sanders going on offense and holding these press conferences? Why is Biden not? Why is Pelosi not? I mean, I know the answer. You know the answer, but got to point it out, right? He's the president. It's supposedly his bill. The media keeps saying Joe Biden's agenda. Well, where is Joe Biden? I know the pandemic, and other things, but you would think if he really, really wants this deal and he really, really cares about the policies that are in the deal, he'd be in front of the cameras. Continue.
From doing what we should be doing, protecting the needs of working families, the elderly, the children, the sick, and the poor, and protecting this planet for future generations. Now, Senator Manchin, as I understand it, talked about today about not wanting to see our country become an entitlement society. Well, I am not exactly sure what he means by that. Does that mean that we end the $300 direct payments for working class parents, which have cut childhood poverty in this country as a result of the American Rescue Plan in half? Is protecting working families and cutting childhood poverty an entitlement? Does Senator Manchin think we should once again have one of the highest levels of childhood poverty of any major country on earth? at a time when millions of seniors in Vermont, in West Virginia, all across this country, have teeth in their mouths that are rotting, when they can't afford hearing aids in order to communicate with their grandchildren, and when they can't afford a pair of glasses in order to read a newspaper, does Senator Manchin really believe that seniors are not entitled to digest their food and that they're not entitled to hear and see properly? Is that really too much to ask in the richest country on earth, that elderly people have teeth in their mouth and can see and can hear? Does Senator Manchin not believe that we have to end the absurdity of the United States paying by far the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs, sometimes 10 times more for a particular drug than is paid in Canada or other countries around the world? Does Senator Manchin believe that we should be the only major country on earth not to guarantee paid family and medical leave, and that working mothers should not be able to stay home with a child who is sick? Are workers not entitled to be able to do that? Does Senator Manchin believe that working class parents in West Virginia and Vermont should not have to pay? Does he believe that they should have to pay 25 or 30% of their incomes on child care? All over this country, working class families are paying 25 or 30% of their incomes on child care so that they could go out and do their jobs. Are the children of this country not entitled to high quality child care and pre-K education? Does Senator Manchin not believe that working families in this country are entitled to affordable housing, and that we should not have some 600,000 people in America, including many veterans, sleeping out on the streets?
Okay.
Does Senator Manchin not believe?
So here's what I like about this, and here's what I have constructive criticism about, shall we say. What I like, put it on Manchin. I like how every sentence begins with, does Senator Manchin believe? Put it on Manchin, because the media is going to cover what Bernie's saying. Manchin won't answer why he's against these policies other than the debt and inflation, which certainly doesn't give a damn about the debt and inflation when it comes to the military budget, when it comes to tax breaks for the rich, when it comes to fossil fuel subsidies that he has led the charge in fighting for his blood money donors, because he's taken blood money from the coal companies, from the fossil fuckers. Speaking of the fossil fuckers, you could go to our Substack, StatusCoup.substack.com. Posted a piece on there before we went live, free. This one isn't for paid subscribers. This is for all subscribers, including free subscribers. So go check that out after the live. We put that video that we played in there that Colin put together, including a written piece. But why, Joe Manchin hasn't had to answer, what does he consider an entitlement? Because he doesn't think it's an entitlement if it's for rich people or fossil fuckers or the coal industry or big pharma, who his daughter, remember, infamously jacked up the prices of the EpiPen to make people, basically, God knows how many people died because they couldn't afford it, as she raked in the green. That was his daughter, who, by the way, based on my reporting on the ground in West Virginia, he basically paid the college to graduate her when she had not actually graduated naturally. College, talking about. So he certainly doesn't view those, and he doesn't view favors and wet favors and endless handouts to his wealthy donors as entitlements. And apparently, not only does he want the reconciliation number to be stripped down as low as 1.5 to 1.8 trillion, but then he wants the means test half of it so that it only goes to those who need it. And Joe Manchin will clearly have a very unique definition of who needs it and who doesn't. But the constructive criticism point of view is, and Colin, I'm just going to Google this right now. Distance from Washington, D.C. to Charleston, West Virginia. Hell, it's only almost a 6-hour drive from D.C. to West Virginia. My assumption is by flight, hour and a half, 2 hours from D.C. Wouldn't it be wonderful if Bernie was saying all this? He's going on offense at least during a press conference. Wouldn't it be wonderful? Wouldn't it draw media attention? Wouldn't it draw excitement among the progressive base, who's a lot of them have felt leaderless? A lot of folks have felt what Bernie and the squad aren't fighting enough. Wouldn't it be great to call out Manchin, not at a press conference? Well, you can start at a press conference, but then get your ass to West Virginia. Bert, I know you're 80, but you just went on the road in Indiana and other states to push this reconciliation deal. Wouldn't it be great for Bernie, joined at the hip with the other progressives who have been holding the line, to rally in West Virginia? You know, we had Ryan Grimm on. He said, I don't think it would draw a crowd. I completely disagree. I was just in West Virginia with Jen a couple months ago. You'd have a massive crowd. And by the way, not just of like progressives, you'd have some Republicans there too, because the secret the media won't tell you, this shit is popular among Democrats, independents, and Republicans. West Virginia was a Democratic state for a century. Let me repeat. West Virginia was a Democratic state for a century. It, over the last decade, has shifted to the right. You want to know why? Because of people like Joe Manchin. Because the Democratic Party has, because they're bought off by the coal industry, big pharma, and other things, has chosen, we're just going to run against the Republicans as the we're not the Republicans branding. So vote for us because it could be worse. And since they're not actually offering anything in terms of a left alternative to the Republicans, and by the way, this isn't just West Virginia, this is the Democratic Party nationally for the last 20 years. Because they're not offering an alternative, people just vote for the real thing, the Republicans. And by the way, Manchin, and we reported on this on the ground in West Virginia. Again, you guys are funding our reporting on the ground. This is how we break the news on Manchin, how we investigate people like Manchin. We were there for several days in August. It was fucking hot being on the ground and interviewing people. Okay. We broke that in the 1990s, Joe Manchin lost a run for governor in 1996. So we're talking a long time ago. Lost in the primary to a progressive named Charlotte Pritt. 1996. He lost in the primary. So what did he do? Of course, unite, right? We got to unite, we're told by the media and the Democratic Party. Yeah, no, Joe Manchin, after he lost to the progressive in the primary, started a Democrats for Underwood, the Republican opponent to the progressive who just beat Joe Manchin. Joe Manchin helped the Republicans for Underwood get on the air with smears against the progressive that she wanted to teach children in school about pornography. I'm not making this up. True story. We investigated and found this out in West Virginia. So they ran smear campaigns against this progressive, Charlotte Pritt, that she somehow wanted to indoctrinate children in school with pornography. And make it legal, by the way, for children to view pornography. No. Bernie, all of these people, go to D.C. Go to West Virginia. Pressure Manchin on his home turf. I just don't agree with others who say, he won't care. Yeah, name me a politician that enjoys being smeared publicly. Name me a politician that enjoys being hounded publicly. Name a politician that enjoys constantly being on defense. I don't care if they're corrupt or not. Name one. Name a person who enjoys that outside of a politician. Joe Manchin has never had the heat on him. Joe Manchin has never had any pressure on him. None. And by the way, while you're at it, go protest the corporate media. How many times do I have to say this to people before they listen? Go protest the West Virginia media, who's not covering his corruption, is not even reporting his corruption to people in West Virginia. Go protest CNN. Go protest MSNBC, who's not even really reporting that Joe Manchin is flooded by coal money, is flooded by fossil fucker money, is flooded by Wall Street money. Same thing with Sinema. Yeah, they've kind of sort of mentioned it, that Sinema held a fundraiser. That is not a minor footnote in this story. That is the story. Hey, I agree, Kelly Elaine. While you're at it, Bernie, call out Manchin for a televised debate. Remember when Bernie debated Ted Cruz back in the day on Medicare for all or healthcare? So it's a good step. You know, I think it's good. Bernie's going on offense, but why stop there? Keep the pressure on him. And by the way, maybe Bernie and the squad and AOC, like maybe their instincts are off. I think what they don't realize, and of course, there's a huge portion of progressives that are just whatever. They think it's all for show. It's theater. They're not going to follow through, whatever. But there's a whole lot of progressives that feel down, angry, frustrated, leaderless, feel like, the progressives were going to fight Biden, but have been too cooperative. Can you imagine if Bernie and others went down to West Virginia, went to Arizona and started calling these people out by name on their doorstep? How that would galvanize the progressive base, who would then start calling Sinema and Manchin, start protesting themselves outside their offices in West Virginia, in Arizona, in D.C. I mean, energy, it's like a domino effect. Going on offense, it begets more energy. It begets more activism. And I'm telling you right now, people aren't going to like it. They're not going to get $3.5 trillion. They're just not. But going on offense, you might get a lot more than the rump roast Biden and Manchin are saying that you'll have to accept, which they're saying you'll have to accept around $2 trillion. $2 trillion is pennies for what we need on climate alone. We need $10 trillion. But all these other programs, $2 trillion, not going to get it through. Sure, they could change some things where it's more money, but the funding of the programs are shortened. But I think Bernie and the rest of them are missing a blinking red lights opportunity to put the pressure on Joe Manchin, because he does not have a valid response for why he is trying to stop this. They could pressure him on debt and say, well, you didn't really go to West Virginia. Well, let me ask you folks, did Joe Manchin care about the debt and inflation when Trump cut taxes for wealthy people? Joe Manchin supported that. He didn't vote for it, but he supported it. He didn't vote for it because the Republicans didn't need his vote. They did it through reconciliation themselves. He supported it. Reconciliation meaning Republicans only voted for those tax cuts. Did he care about the debt, Joe Manchin, when he continually votes for $780 billion in military budget? Does he care about the debt and inflation, giving fossil fuel money, subsidies to fossil fuel companies, giving subsidies to banks, giving subsidies to real estate developers? He care about the debt then? You think it's an entitlement society that in the original coronavirus relief bill, trillions of dollars went out the door for corporations who didn't need the money? I mean, this is all easy messaging. He certainly didn't care about the debt on any of those things. Maybe at a rally mention the fact that, as The Intercept reported, Joe Manchin's making $4.5 million or has made $4.5 million while he's a senator from his coal company, and another between $1 to $5 million in stock options from that company. Could that have anything to do with this? Remember, Joe, I covered it the other day. Joe Manchin basically threatened a reporter who dared ask him whether it was a conflict of interest for him to be making this money from a coal company and making decisions politically on whether to support this $3.5 trillion bill, which has a lot of money in it for climate change. So I don't know. Just waiting. I feel like I'm screaming into a cave here, and I'm the only one saying, get out of Washington, D.C. Get out of Washington, D.C. Go on their doorsteps. You think Sinema doesn't like being hounded by protesters in a bathroom? Go hold a massive rally on her doorstep. See how she likes that. See how she likes it when their poll numbers plummet further after those rallies and the media coverage. Go see. Frankly, Bernie, you said, hold your nose, vote for Biden. We'll fight him on day one. Get Trump out of there. We'll fight Biden on day one. Well, now's the time. If you're not going to fight Biden, who's doing nothing to push this along, who's preemptively saying, sure, we'll take $2 trillion because he doesn't really care. He's not passionate about the $3.5 trillion. He doesn't passionately want these policies like you do and progressives do. If you're not going to fight him, fight Manchin and Sinema. Fight them. Not, physically, but you get the drift. So before I go, a couple reminders. Also going to read some super chats. Tomorrow, our Rockfin exclusive. We might be shifting around the day we do it. We have been doing it Wednesday, but we might start shifting around the day we do it. By the way, welcome to new Status Coup member. New Status Coup member, Heidi, just signed up. Thank you, Heidi. Email us, by the way, at info@statuscoup. So the drill is when you sign up as a new member in October, you're going to get free merchandise. So if you go to statuscoup.com/fall, FALL, statuscoup.com/fall, FALL, it'll give you directions for how to sign up as a member and how to get your free Status Coup merchandise. So definitely do it. Welcome to the party, Heidi. We're trying to get as close to 2,000 members as possible. We've been close to it, and then we've lost members, and then we've gained members, and then we've lost members. We're trying to get there. So please sign up. I know money might be tight for everyone. So if you can't afford a $5 a month membership, no problem if you can't. If you have $5 a month, there's other options that are higher. Support our on-the-ground journalism. If you came to this late, I'm going away for a week to celebrate my 1-year wedding anniversary. It's been a year. By the way, happy early birthday to my wife. My wife's birthday tomorrow. I'm not going to say how old she's turning, but she is a wonderful woman. I have been reborn just meeting her and falling in love with her. So happy birthday to my wife, Anat, turning however old tomorrow. So excited. And I'll be going away with her, celebrate her birthday, our anniversary, all that good stuff. So happy birthday. Aw, nice Colin. So she's forever 25, Jordan. I hope you're hearing me up there. Definitely keep signing up. Also, Rockfin tomorrow. We're going to have 2 great guests. Going to have Tina Desiree Berg, who, as you all know her, she does great freelance reporting for us. She's been covering a whole lot of stuff out there in California, LA, Proud Boys, alt-right, the January 6th insurrectionists, all that. So we're going to have her on. We're also going to have our friend Steve Grumbine on tomorrow to talk about this nonsense about the debt that Manchin is pushing, the debt and inflation that the media keeps buying hook, line, and sinker. So tune in. We're going to have 2 great guests. You know the drill with Rockfin. We're exclusive on Rockfin once a week. I know a lot of members have said, well, we're members, but we can't see you once a week. Listen, I'm just going to be direct. We cannot rely on YouTube anymore, as you see. So we had a choice. Rockfin offered us a weekly exclusive where we would get a pretty nice guarantee per month of revenue. We need to fund the on-the-ground reporting. So the choice was not be on YouTube once a week and be exclusively on Rockfin and grow our Rockfin channel so we could get a significantly more, like what we would make on YouTube for 1 day a week versus Rockfin 1 day a week, night and day. So we're going to continue cutting clips from our Rockfin stream. So if you can't afford a Rockfin membership, no problem. But if you can, we're not only on there for the money, it's a great platform where we could actually cover things with no concern about censorship, suppression, all that. No problem if you can't afford it, but we really love seeing, we've gained, I believe, over 100 Rockfin premium members. If you sign up at Rockfin, you get more than just our channel. Lee Camp is on Rockfin. Graham Elwood is on Rockfin. There's other people that I'm forgetting that are on Rockfin with their own premium channels. So you don't just get our exclusive premium content, you get other people's exclusive Rockfin content. For members, I was talking to Jen. What we're going to try to do for members, because I've seen a lot of comments for members where it's like, yeah, you know, there's all these different things and I don't know what we can access and what we can't. So we're going to try for members. We can't post like the full Rockfin live stream for members. They just said no to that. We're going to try to post our Substack pieces for members. So if you're a paying Status Coup member, that we all Substack pieces, the free ones, as well as paid one for our Status Coup members. So at least, you know, you have access to that too. So we don't want our Status Coup members feeling unloved, but we do have to make, bottom line, if you're not going to take corporate money as an independent outlet, which we're not, and you are going to try to fund actual on-the-ground reporting. For example, I told you we want to go to Buffalo, for example, to cover India Walton's race, which is on November 2nd, the socialist candidate for Buffalo mayor, to cover the Starbucks workers trying to unionize, to cover the hospital strikes. Well, I got to fly Colin up here from Texas. Then we got to pay for the gas to drive up to Buffalo because we don't have the money to fly up to Buffalo for the two of us. It's a long drive, 6 hours, by the way. I'm 2 back surgeries in. Then you got hotels in Buffalo. Then you got food in Buffalo. It seems like every time we go anywhere, we have to buy new equipment somehow because something's not working or we need something else. So that trip alone, and that's, by the way, that's Colin flying up, but that trip alone is going to cost us probably between $2,000 and $3,000 if we're there for a week. So this stuff costs money. That's why very few outlets do it, because it's cheaper to just pontificate in a studio than going out there. So if you want us to stay independent, and I'd rather just shut it down and close shop than take corporate money, take money from the big banks, the fossil fuckers, big pharma, big real estate, Silicon Valley, military industrial complex, I would just rather shut it down than do that. But if you want us to stay this way and stay independent, we need help. We need funding. So we totally understand people that just can't afford it. $9.99 a month for the Rockfin premium membership. But if you can, please sign up, rockfin.com/statuscoup. So, the more members we gain at Rockfin, the more guaranteed money, we get from Rockfin. So we will be live there tomorrow, I believe 4:30 Eastern time. So that's 1:30 Pacific. If that changes, I'll let you know, because I'm just waiting to hear from Tina. So we'll let you know what time. I think it's going to be 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific. So, but we'll write on our community tab if it's not at that time, our Twitter. But I'm thinking 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific. 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific. Tina, Steve Grumbine, it's going to be awesome. And then again, I'm not going to be here on the ground. I'm going to be away for a week with my wonderful wife. And then when I get back, we're trying to go to Buffalo to cover all those stories. By the way, I have a sprained ankle, mind you. So I'm going on a sprained ankle because these are important to cover. So let's read some super chats. If I missed any. Shrinrikyo, $10. Thank you. Kelly Elaine, $20. Appreciate it. Diane Brazil, no relation to Donna Brazil. Thanks, Jordan, and your team. Appreciate it. Alex Arvantis, $1.99. Checking in. Hi, everyone. Happy Thursday. And by the way, Colin, I'm throwing a lot of ideas at Colin. I also had an idea. I don't know if it would be like Throwback Thursday or Flashback Friday or something like that. I also had an idea to do a segment. I don't know if it could be every week because we're just fucking exhausted with the amount of work we already have. But I had an idea to do a Throwback Thursday kind of thing, or a Flashback Friday, where we go through one of like our most memorable on the ground interviews or rallies or protests. And, I kind of take you through the behind the scenes, what was going on in real time, stuff that was happening off camera that you might have not seen on camera, what I was thinking and feeling during that. I think it would be cool because it, again, gets us to kind of go back to all the great on the ground reporting we've done over the years and give you kind of a little bit more behind the scenes. I'm thinking Colin, come on. Come up for a second. I'm not sure, Colin. I'm thinking about doing that just for members because we want to give more perks to our members. I mean, we appreciate signing up as a member anyway, but we want to give more content for our members to incentivize more people to sign up. We don't want to piss off people who can't sign up, but, bottom line, we need funding. And our business model is membership because the important thing is the better we are in terms of paid members, the more bulletproof we are, whatever goes on YouTube. Because who knows, there could come a day when, the worst happens and we're off this platform. So we want to be able to provide more content just for members. So I'm thinking we might do that kind of throwback Thursday, flashback Friday.
We could do something like where you do that for the members. It's like an hour long, whatever, where the members are actually able to ask questions maybe, and you can respond like almost AMA about the footage, like, hey, what was it like being there and stuff like that. And then I can throw together like a 5 or 8 minute highlight reel for everyone to sort of get the gist of what it was. But the actual interaction and stuff comes from being a member and getting that full long experience.
I'm digging that. My head's going to explode because that's an extra hour on top of everything else. But yeah. I think it would be worth it. So maybe we'll do it like, I don't know, start once a month, see how involved it is. And if it's not too much work, we could do it more than once a month. But I think that would be good because we just did our first like members live stream where it was a regular live stream, but only members could see it. So I think that would be good that we do that for members live. And then from it, we could cut up a little portion for everybody. So that's a good idea. And wonderful. So before I go, let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Again, tomorrow, I'm waiting to hear back from Tina, but I think it will be at 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific. So tune in for our Rockfin show. And I will be away for a little bit, about a week. Jen is going to be, we don't know yet what's going to be next week. Tina might be live for us. Jen might be live here and there. It just depends on a couple things going on in the background. So we'll still have stuff, publishing and stuff like that, but I won't be here. So hopefully, be patient. I'll be back and we'll be rearing to go. But I will see you tomorrow. I'll do the short teaser live stream here on YouTube right before our Rockfin stream. So tomorrow I'll do a short little live stream before our Rockfin stream, which will be around 4 o'clock Eastern. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you could sign up for Rockfin. That's rockfin.com/status. Is it? Oh no. What is it called? Yeah, rockfin.com/statuscoup. The more signups we get there, the better. Let's do it. I'll see you tomorrow.